Side. Okay. Okay. Let's begin. It's already delayed by 10 minutes, so we'll straight away jump into the topic. Yeah. Okay. So a happy Teachers' Day. It's a wonderful occasion, and I'm privileged to be here on a GeekNight, an ex-thought worker, but the teaching is my passion. So I thank to all my teachers for who I am and who I will be in the future. And of course, there are many teachers in this forum too. You may not be an official wearing a title as a teacher. So a happy Teachers' Day to all of you. Yeah. A small disclaimer before I begin the session. There are a couple of examples or stories that we'll be looking into the session throughout the journey, and any resemblance to you or the context or to your office or to your company is purely coincidental. There is nothing that I planned. I don't know you people. You're seeing me for the first time. Okay? So if some of the stories sting you, bite you, or make you feel comfortable, make you feel happy, it's all because you liked it. Okay, I didn't plan anything. So let's start. So design, first of all, it's a surprise to us when we had more than 350 registrations. Because when we initially proposed this topic, we thought hardly 50 people will come, or hardly 20 registrations or 100 registrations. We didn't expect that people are really looking at these words, or people are really interested in these words, but the words have become very synonymous to these diagrams that we look in our offices, or the words have been becoming very synonymous. So when someone says design thinking, okay, we look at this double diamond, or we look at this five process, ideate, prototype, blah 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 blah. Okay, so we are so what we say habituated, or we are so attached to these pictures, to those thought processes. So the session is actually to break that and to actually see what is design, lean and agile thinking. Once again, it's not in an elaborated fashion, but this session will be as a starting point for you to explore more later, to investigate or to actually go in deep into that particular thought process. Now let's take a step back and let's question, do we really need, why do we need a thinking for? Forget about for the time being design, lean or any of those things, but why do we need a thinking for? Why do we think? Do we need thinking or not? Of course, when there is a critical situation, you say, okay, I feel like I don't think anymore. When you are quarreling with your wife, or when your boyfriend is quarreling with you, feel like let's just stop thinking so that I'll not have any problems. Apart from those things, but why do we really need a thinking? The fundamental aspect of the thinking is basically the problem solving and decision making. Be it anywhere. You might think that, the moment I'm showing this picture, few people might be even thinking, okay, there are possibly two ways to come out of this puzzle. But few people are focusing on me. So that differentiates the thought processes. Basically, we think every time, and to say that I don't think at all, yeah, you can happily stay somewhere in Himalayas, or you are above what we are right now. That's divine actually. You say that I don't think, I'm like calm, serene person. But basically when we do thinking, we are focusing on a problem and we're trying to make a decision. Okay, just like the way when you are trying to see this picture, the jigsaw puzzle, you say, oh, okay, I see two ways. No, I see three ways. Probably I see three ways. So with that background in mind, let's jump into the first one, the design thinking, which is nothing but exploring the problem. So like I said, it's not just a process or a procedure. It's nowhere attached to the diagrams. Okay. So let's just start with a basic example. When we say it's not a process or a procedure, there are many examples that are shown. But let me just start with a very fundamental thing. How did we start learning to walk? Do you remember those days, or at least when you see your kids, or at least when you see your niece, nephews, or anyone? Have you noticed how did they walk? If we tell them that, okay, step 1, get up, step 2, walk, step 3, do this, step 4, when you are not comfortable, hold something, step 5, sit. So do we do this exercise regularly with them? It's a natural, so they get up, they fall down, they get up, they fall down, they get up, they fall down. With the repeated processes, the bones get stronger, and that's how they learn the word. Okay? The same way, one more example. So that's not a process. You learned it, later you can adopt some processes. Let's say to make it easier, you might adopt, okay, let me just provide something to hold for a child to walk. It helped to accelerate the walking. Not necessarily that it began the walking. It didn't start the walking at all. The same, we can also look at it in another example. Just for example, when anybody loves to cook here? Oh, good. Yes. I'm passionate about eating. So, see, when you start cooking, the first thing that we do is, of course, in my days, where the YouTubes are not so penetrated, I'm not that old, but YouTubes are still not that penetrated. We still download a menu from an online, we take a printout, because we don't have smartphones at that time. Or now we have a printout, we immediately put a YouTube video, we copy all the recipes, we say, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and we make a good food, right? Now, how many times will you follow that same recipe? 1 time, 2 times, 3rd time. Okay, let me just change a slight bit in this ingredient. 4th time, okay, let me try out something new. 5th time, you keep on, and finally you are excelled. Okay, let me create a new dish and make a video of it. So the recipe just help you to begin with, but it's not an end in itself. So when we always stick these thinkings to a particular processes, you're just seeing only in one way. You're not actually looking beyond it. But unfortunately, all the things that we acquired so far are all natural, and it came with a deliberate practice. Now, what does this designer thinking comprises about? It's basically a mindset and as well as a collection of toolkits for applying a designer's way of thinking and doing. Of course, are there any designers in this forum? No? Oh, thank you. There are always few. But of course, they have special capabilities. Don't take it to personal that what is that they are so special and what is that you are not so special about. They have a couple of specialities, just the way you are also a specialist developer, you are also a specialist manager. Everyone has their own specialities, and that's the reason why you are actually into those roles that you are actually now. Okay, so basically it is for exploring complex problems and finding opportunities. Once again, the most important thing in the world of full uncertainty. So when there is nothing for you, how do you still think out of the box or think or make a way out to find a problem or to find the real problem, to find the actual solution? The problem of the problem is we don't know what the problem is actually. And that's what the designer think actually helps you to do. The third one is it explores and questions what is a problem and then imagine what could be an innovative or a future solution. So this is basically what makes designers so special? I mean, can't we actually learn this thinking? Yes, anyone can learn the designer's thinking, provided you adapt a couple of these abilities, which at least the designers are so specialized about. They are trained, like the way we are trained from the day one when we join engineering. What are we trained? We train for logical thinking, we are trained for analytical thinking, we train to look at a problem in a mathematical manner. Just like the way a doctor who is trained to look a patient with a compassion, a disease with an understanding. So everyone adopts their own thought processes based on their professions. The same way designer has their abilities. The abilities like they can live happily with ambiguity. Trust me when you start, I don't know how closely you work with the designers in your teams, but the moment designers are always needed not at the end of the solution, they are only needed at the beginning of what actually is the problem. So that's where we reach. We don't know anything. We start from nothing. We start with an ambiguity. Okay, we don't know what to do, what not to do. And they are very comfortable to navigate among that ambiguity. And they are very compassionate or they are very empathizing for others. Unlike the engineers who are always solution oriented or who loves to chase the solutions. It's a good in one way, it is not bad, but they always say that, okay, let's take a step back, let's understand the user. Okay, does the user really needs it? Who is going to use it? They synthesize the information from the larger information. They make these beautiful visualizations. They comprehend it into a small, presentable manner. The moment you look at that synopsis, you will get everything that has happened in the discussions. They can experiment rapidly. Now, saying so, any of these abilities can be learned by us. But it needs a practice and it needs an effort. Now, of course, few people might still think that are the designers only the people who possess these capabilities? Does design thinking is even valid because there is already a human-centered design, you always focus on the users. It's good. I didn't even contradict this, but this was even contradicted by a person who is well known in the design world, Mr. Donald Norman. You'll find his books everywhere. He is like the pioneering authority in design actually, not even in design thinking, in design. He himself said that in the year 2010, said that design thinking is a myth. Everyone can adopt design thinking, no doubt in that. Because everyone knows how to solve the problems. Then he realized and corrected in the year 2013, okay, I take my word back. The designer abilities do hold good. I mean, they're actually doing that. I mean, imagine you passed the engineering for 4 years of effort. Imagine a designer has spent a healthy amount of 3 years of time making himself more comfortable with these abilities. So it's basically, so what do they do? What do usually they do is like, they don't search for a solution until they determine the real problem. And even then, instead of solving the problem, they try to consider potential solutions. We do this unknowingly, but not in the context of our projects, not in the context of our companies. Let's just say, for example, when was the last time that any of you who is sitting here just opened an e-commerce portal and said, okay, this is what I want, I just need to find this, check out in few seconds, minutes? No. The moment you open an e-commerce site, you open something, even within that you check the reviews, you're not so sure about it. Okay, even this is okay. Even if I check the reviews, okay, let me just open another e-commerce portal. Let's see how much cost I'm getting it. You try to go for multiple options. Even if you go to a shop, you don't just settle on, okay, you went to a shop to buy an apparel. You just don't, okay, this is what I want, that's it, come out. But we don't do that when we are actually trying to solve the problems. Especially the problems, because of many other reasons that we are going to look at throughout this session. But unlike that, the designers, they see if the problem is a problem at all, and they don't settle on the first solution. My professor suggested a way when we say that we often write these essays, right? So he says that, he gave this very, very surprising exercise to us when we are actually practicing writing. So he asked us to write an essay, and he collected all the papers. He tore everything, I mean, he literally tore the papers and said, rewrite the essay, make sure that you don't reproduce what you write it here. And that is when we literally thought, oh, okay, there is something much beyond I can think about. Because what happens is, why do we settle on the first solution? Because of some of the previous knowledge we have on that problem. Of course, we might have solved that problem earlier, so we want a quick solution, because that's how your mind works. There are certain cognitive biases which says that, okay, let me just solve this problem, because I already solved this earlier, that's no wrong. And you might also have these mental sets of functional fixedness saying, okay, this works the same way because I have used it earlier. But you also need to look beyond when you are actually trying to solve the real problem. Okay, there is a good book, how many people I don't know, heard of it, Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow? Heard of it? It's a nice read on the exact same subject. So it is good sometimes to settle on a solution. I mean to say, like, when a dog is chasing you or when a snake is chasing you, you don't say, okay, what is the real problem? Is the dog chasing me? Is the snake chasing me? Okay, what possible solutions I have? Of course, you will forget about solutions, you will end up in a hospital. Okay, so there are situations where you need to think fast, but there are situations where you need to think slow, like this. Now if we actually take this definition and now actually try to break it down into multiple pieces, what we actually see is we should actually determine what the real problem is. Is this the problem that I am solving, the right problem? Or am I just solving because I know the solution? Now, you search for solutions, you don't settle on one solution, you consider many options, like I said, not one solution, and then you finally converge on a proposal. Now, this is exactly what this double diamond is all about. Now, this double diamond makes sense. And that's the reason why they made this double diamond. They just didn't make this double diamond so that, oh, okay, diverging, converging, diverging, converging. So I need to start with the problem, I need to diverge. Okay, let me go into this room, let me go into this room, let me go to the top floor. Okay, I got divergence. Now let me get into convergence. Let me sit here and write everything. No. So this is basically the steps of the creativity. You know, in the psychology, they call this as divergent thinking and convergent thinking, which is the basis of the creativity. How many different ways, usually we get this question, right? How many different ways that you can think of a book that it can be used for? Reading, writing. So we keep on adding these. Now you do this with multiple people. We see those creative use cases that we didn't even thought about for a book. We're actually diverging on our thoughts. We just are not focusing only on a couple of aspects that we are already aware of. And finally we say, okay, but I'm only looking for certain use cases, and then you finally converge. This is the basis of creativity thinking, and this is what is essential for the problems that we're actually solving in the real world, or the companies that you have established, or the companies that you are actually working out. Now let's see, let's just understand a design thinking with a problem actually. I hope everyone is holding a pen. Okay, so are we ready to solve the problem? If someone knows about this problem, just be quiet. You want to know, and I want to prove that it's not only the designers, or we need the designer's ability to solve this problem. Okay, so you're clear of these designer abilities? Okay, so let's see how we are going to solve this problem. Okay, so we have 4 villages, 1, 2, 3, 4, which are separated by 10 kilometers each, and the government has decided to lay a road, but it's an expensive project. So they invited for proposals, and their only condition is what is the least possible road connecting all the villages. Yes, they want to save the cost. Okay. Now, you need to share the designs. Is the problem clear? Yeah? Okay. Can I get the answers? And the people who have already solved this problem, just don't participate. Let's wait. We'll see the surprising results. It'll take for about 2-3 minutes. You can also form as a teams. Trust me, in teams it works much better. If you know the gentleman just beside you, even if you don't know, it's high time that you say your name, introduce yourself and solve the problem. No? It's good, like I said, think beyond. We are engineers, I know, but let's be designers for some time. What's the least possible road? Come on. You can actually draw as many pictures as you get in your mind. That's how you actually solve this problem. No, you don't saying, okay, this is. If someone has some proposals, just show me. Okay, but not the best. It is a good solution, but not the best solution. There is still ways to do it. Yes, you're almost coming close, and you will actually feel at the end of this exercise, at least a couple of people who don't know the answer, You'll actually feel the whole things that I have just spoke about. What is actually happening inside your brain. So you know the real problem. All you're trying to do is lay the least possible road connecting all the four villages. Think beyond your regular good solution, not best solution. Good solution, not best solution. Your step close. No, good solution, not best solution. There is something beyond. Okay, just to give something heads up. Uh, these are your solutions. Couple of solutions. No, they are good solution, not best. So think beyond. The answer lies in the next slide. I'm telling these are not the solutions at all. You have the question. No, we can't merge villages. We can't move villages. I know. It's not code. Is that? No. Good solution, not best solution. Circle is costly. No, to the time. N shape, no. Think. The answer lies there. Okay, let's say one of the functional fixedness or one of the cognitive bias that you are holding right now is you need to solve the solution with the least possible number of lines. Right? Let's combine those two. Very costly solution. There is no time. It doesn't save cost. The problem is least possible road so that it becomes very less expensive project. The problem is how do I help the government to lay a least possible road so that the government project will end up with the low cost and the villagers will end up getting off the road at least. So don't think that you are associating that okay minimum number of lines, shortest path. Right? No. I am telling you the maximum number of lines will also lead to shortest path. No. Best solution? No. Good solution, not best solution. No. Costly solution. Good solution, not best. Come on. Why do you think only 3 lines? 2 lines? Come on. I'm giving you a clue. And I'm very sure someone will have an answer. No, costly solution. Yeah, it's a costly solution. Imagine number of lines that you are drawing there. I mean to say not the number of lines, but the distance that. So if you even make that half 5. So adding up the cost. Okay, you want to see the solution? I have something. Maybe the solution. Right, you can show it like that. Okay, Aditya, what we have? A good solution, but not the best. Want to see the answer? Yes. This 27 kilometers. Like I said, it's not less number of lines, but this is we never thought of this, right? Because the moment we see 4 dots, square, diagonal, okay, minimum number of lines, right? This is exactly what we need to force in person. And imagine this is just a very small problem, and of course it's not a small problem at all. This is also a tricky problem, but imagine now you just think of something in your project, think of something that's happening. So, are we even forcing ourselves to look beyond for those proposals? I mean, yeah, we never thought of this, right? Because we always focused on what we already know. We didn't force ourselves to see what is that we should look for. This is exactly the domain of design. So no longer it's that double dimension, no longer it's idea. Sorry? The problem with X is it is 28 kilometers. So if you actually do the maths, so it is 10, 10, right? So if you do, so what is that? The diagonal distance it's out is 27, 28 kilometers. So if you want some mathematical proof, I do have it. I know people will ask for it. People will never settle on something that, oh no, right? So let me show you that mathematical proof. See this? So they proved it mathematically. So it's 20 some kilometers. I know. Okay, so let's just come back. Of course, 1 kilometer says something to the project. It's okay, that doesn't matter. The government proposal is how do I save the cost? Are we looking at the problem? Exactly. Are we looking at the problems? They didn't define that problem. That's the problem. Come on, we can't think outside. We can think, okay. We can think outside the box. Okay. Okay, then the government has to do multiple things. They don't do that. All they say is cost. At least for this solution. That's what I'm saying. We can't just change the problem for the sake of the solution. We can, but at least this is what the problem is. I clearly specified even before starting that this is the only problem. I mean, it was clarified. Okay, I know the point of hurting us because we didn't solve this problem. I know. No? So let's just, enough on design thinking. At least, we'll try to go back and study more on what exactly is this domain. So let's just not focus only on the double diagram, okay, or those 5 phases that we typically see. It is how do you adopt those strategies, okay? So now let's shift our focus. Now that we identified a real problem, let's shift our focus in whether we are building the right thing or not. This is where your problem comes. Are we building the right thing or not? Yes, that's exactly what the thing is. The ultimate solution is to convince them, no doubt, but at least not in the purview of design. We have slowly, while we proceed to the problems. We'll take it off. So, now that we have the problem, okay, then we need to decide, are we building the right thing or not? Okay, are we building the right product or not? Are we building a right solution or not? Is this the right solution once again? So that's what the lean focuses about. Lean's purview is not just at a low level. Its purview is at an organization level. Okay. Now, before even jumping onto that, let's look at the classical stories. You might have definitely heard about them. Okay. The blockbuster. It's really a blockbuster. It is a DVD rental company in the year 1985, one of the biggest DVD rental company. In the year 2004, their staff is somewhere around 87,000. Can you imagine? And Netflix went to them in the year 2001 and said that, you know what, we will sell our business for $50 million. But in the year 2010, something happened. Blockbuster announced bankruptcy. The Netflix revenue turned up to $6 billion. So what happened? They are only selling the DVDs, they are only selling the DVDs, or they are only renting the DVDs even when the internet is connected so fast. They resisted the change. They didn't accept the change. They didn't adapt to the change. Same thing happened with General Motors. Their focus is to sell more cars, so they started thinking about different schemes that helps the people to buy the cars. They never focused on, okay, is the car up to the mark, or is the car up to the quality, or are we enhancing the car features, are we adapting the new technology? They did it, and ultimately they were sold. Imagine GM is sold. They dictated the roads, they dictated they are the company who dictated the roads and they dictated the railway lines in the United States, but they were sold. Of course, the brand is still retained. So the classic case of Kodak. Okay, they are into film business. Okay, but what happened? There were many learnings from Kodak actually. So they are into film business, and they started producing these films, and they started producing these film cameras as well. But they always resisted, saying, "Okay, let's not just touch that digital camera because it will hurt our own business." Okay. Now what happened? They even have an R&D which even did the R&D to see how can we take mobile, how can we capture pictures from the mobiles, how can we even make these digital cameras. They had that R&D, they invented it, they invested a good healthy amount of money into that, but they never actually implemented that into business. The only reason they are always frightened about my business will be gone. Now, the classic one is they even acquired a company. It is an online photo sharing company in the year 2000. I forgot the year, but they acquired an online photo sharing company. Now, instead of digitalizing themselves, they used that forum to print the photographs. They could have become the first Instagram. They could have become the first persons to even have that online digital. Imagine the business what the Instagram is doing right now. They didn't do that. They were only feared about my business will be gone. Or they are gone. So what is that? The classic learnings. They didn't adapt. They didn't change. They didn't adapt to the new things. They didn't focus on the quality, and they are only worried about something that they started first. So it happens many times, right? Like we start an idea with something, and then we say like, okay, or it can even be a project. We start a project and we say, okay, it's going, or we create a product, it's going, it's evolving. And at one point, we are so protected about it that we don't want to do anything. Okay, small change, it will be very, because we didn't plan for a change. The product dies, okay, let's just use those old legacy technologies, no matter what happens, we still have those people who are using our product. Okay, it stays, so what is it adding for maintenance cost? Let's just say that you created a company and you had only one idea and you are like, okay, I'm getting 100 customers, let me be satisfied with it, let me just settle with it, let me not increase my value, it is very dangerous. So that just are the classical stories. And they are not just the reflections of the failures, they are the reflections of the resistance, which led into the failures. Now, can we take those questions?
Something which they talk about was talking about the customer experience aspect of it. Okay. And I clearly remember that as customer experience. Okay. Second, what I felt was resistance to change.
Correct.
Change management was not possible. Correct. Or maybe your people were like, their mindset was like very old or something like that. So two are the things that felt were more related to that. And what is customer experience? And these are things what the customer wants in the future. That is something you can incorporate in the current product line or their offering.
Okay. Okay. Definitely that's the aspect, no doubt about it, but it is not only the aspect. Let's just say that the business shift is actually changing, right? So we are moving from offline to online. They didn't adapt to it. Or let's just say that, imagine the technology shift is changing. From a film cameras to digital cameras, everything is getting digitalized. They're resistant to adapt to it. So this is customer experience, no doubt, but it is also many other factors that they didn't adapt to. So they're so protected about it, thinking that their business will fail or the existing business will fail if we focus on that because they're not very sure about it because they didn't experiment on it. And that is what the lean will focus about. We'll take that question. Let's say that after the end of the lean, if it still is not clear, we'll definitely take it. So lean is actually a management philosophy, and we just talks about the same thing. How do we improve something, or how do we improve a system that produces value? Here, what is that producing value? It is something that is organization. So it is essentially a management philosophy which is talking at a very bigger scope. And how do we? It provides a couple of principles which just say that okay, how do I enhance my organization? How do I improve my organization? Making sure that I'm still sustainable. At the same time, I'm still improving. So a couple of those characteristics are like continuous improvement. So how do I improve upon myself? Okay, let's just say that this year I tried this year I tried this. What if, let me just penetrate into something. But did I create those mechanisms where I can actually penetrate? Or am I doing the right experiments, or am I getting right information to make that judgment? So couple of these things. So how do you continuously improve? How do we make sure that even though we are increasing, even though we are adopting, even though we are increasing the company, like even though the production is more and more and more, I mean to say that, let's just say that you started a firm and you are saying you produce a product. Let's just say that after 20 years you are now in a position to produce 5 products or 6 products. I mean the number is not important, but are you still maintaining the quality that you started the whole idea of the company for, and are you maintaining that quality across the places? Respecting the people. I mean, this is a paradox, right? Like we often see that, we often listen to these statements that when we touch upon a friend, so how are you doing? How is the company doing? It's good earlier, it's not good now. They're growing very fast. We often see these statements, right? Like, oh yeah, you know what? In beginning days it was so nice, but staying here for 5 days, new people coming in, new people going out. No, it's not that. Then how do we ensure that people are still happy? How do we ensure that the people are still respected, even though we are actually growing? Imagine you started saying, let's say, you started with a $1 billion firm and right now you are $100 billion firm. What should happen? Ideally, the people should be more happy because you are actually growing. But what is actually happening? The people are feeling more bad, sick, they want to leave. So how do we ensure that the people are respected? And how do we ensure that we are reducing the waste? I mean, waste in the sense, this is one of the key principles of the lean. How do we reduce the waste? Let's just say, I'm taking a very small example. There can be much bigger examples that you can help me with it. Let's just say that when you started a company, or when you joined a company with a very limited thing. Let's just say for installing a software, hardly you might need a permission from someone else. So what happens after that? Your company is actually growing. Now, just to install a browser or just to install an add-on, we wait for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, sometimes weeks. What is it doing actually? Is it adding value? No, there can be 110 defense reasons to say that we need to ensure security. You keep on adding the bureaucratic structures, you keep on increasing the line of communication. So, do you really need this bigger line of communication? Is the question that we need to possess. We might not not be the same, like A to B. It can still be A, B, C rather than A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. So we need to optimize. So how do we reduce those wastages? And when you talk even at a very low level, like, do we really need this feature today? Or so sometimes we plan building the product, so we say that, okay, let's just add these features. We might get a use case tomorrow. Or let's just say that there will be some need in the future. And we ended up building it. And finally we found out that it is not used at all. Let's just see some statistics also to complement all these things. And so the lean history started with, I'll tell you a small story. The Ford company has actually started producing cars at a much accelerated pace. So they are easily able to turn on their inventories, they're able to produce more cars than what they have earlier produced. But their problem is they're only able to produce a car with one variety. They're not able to produce a car with multiple varieties. They did talk, but the Toyota production system, on the contrary, is exactly doing on the reverse with less investment. They're able to produce more cars and more variety. And this is what they have implemented across their processes. And few people, actually, Jonas and Womack, if you want, you can read this book. This says that the machine that changed the world. They thought that lean is just not something that is only applicable only to the manufacturing industry. They said that this can be applied across the industries, be it hospital management, be it software, be it any other domain. So they just translated the whole experience from a management point of view to other domain perspectives. Now let's go to the past for a while. Why did we even ended up here? So industrial revolution, Out of this 1700s, we got someone who invented steam power, mechanical power, and then we suddenly started having these mass production lines. And then we suddenly started thinking about, okay, so now that we established these factories, how do we actually enforce some discipline? How do we make sure that we are getting the work the way it should be done? So then they invented something called as, they call this as scientific management. Two theories, Henry Fowler and Frederick Taylor, two theories. They started, of course, two different regions. Everyone claims that they are the first person to start with this, but one started in Europe, one started in America. So, they started this something called as scientific management, and what they did is their core value is control, because at that time, when we are actually working in the industries, the work is so regularized, so standardized. What you need to do? Okay, as a worker, I just need to fit the screw to this. That's it. All I will do in all the 8 hours is to do that. I don't have anything else. I don't need to think much beyond me. So I just need to focus only on my task. Just do that, and then so work is so standardized. It is a small, repeatable tasks. So that is the reason why the core value is control. So how do I control? So how do I control breaks? How do I control this motivation? How do I make sure that I control the flow? So I want less number of items in the inventory, ask them to produce less number of items. So your essential thing, the entire organization is main core value is control. So how do I control the things? Now, but something is changing so fast. Third industrial revolution, and people often now call it as a fourth industrial revolution. The artificial intelligence, machine learning, cybersecurity systems, third era. So we started evolving. So do we still see that the core value as a control? When we actually look the third and fourth industrial revolutions in the lens of scientific management, that is when we are getting the problems. Because the modern software business is too complex, it's too unpredictable, and too dynamic. I know people often say that all you need to do is just sit in an AC room, just code something else. Okay, but trust me, intellectual work, knowledge work is also tougher job. Imagine if are there developers in this world? Okay, good. So imagine you're sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours. Will you feel exhausted or not? Of course, damn exhausted that you will stand standing the whole day. It is a work. It is an intellectual work. It needs creativity. More than that, it needs creativity. It needs much larger focus than just doing that repeatable job. So if you still adopt the same value control here, that is when the things go wrong. And unfortunately, the software is not something that is tangible like this. This is a tangible item, like a table. But software is all untangible, like love. You can only feel it. Of course, software you can also use it, but it's all in the air. Okay, so let's just take a couple of statistics to even support this claim. Is it so complex? Is it so unpredictable? Is it so dynamic? Yes, it is. How many people remember this diagram? Of course, a classic diagram that is being circulated as a joke since the time we started opting IT or CSE in our college. Right? But this is not something which is recent. This even existed in the year 1973. And the proof is, it is picked out from a journal in the University of London Computer, a newsletter in the year 1973. This diagram. So the real change that happened is just enhanced it, adding multiple stages. That's the real change. From this to this. Okay. So a couple of statistics. It says that 200% of the project cost overrun, and I mean, okay, instead of looking it in one piece, let's just say that there is a beautiful report called Canvas report, which performed a lot of study on the IT businesses or the software businesses, and what is that they said? They said that 31% of the project will be cancelled before even they get completed. And 52% of the project will even cost more than 189% of the original estimates. And only 60% of software projects are delivered on time, which means 84% of the projects are not delivered on time. And that too only for 9% of the larger projects. Now, project completed will only have 42% of the originally proposed features. Then what about the rest? Okay, this is the classic statement. This ended the report. It says an IT project is more likely to be unsuccessful than successful. Because the larger the project, the more likely the failure. Have you heard of a classic story of IBM? There is a book called The Mythical Man Month. Have you heard of this book? It's a classic read. IBM started a project. They tried to build some operating system, and they started a project. It's a year-long project, and 6 months passed, and there are like 100 people working on the project. So after 6 months, they realized that they will never meet the deadline. They will never complete the project in the next 6 months. What is the quickest solution? Add one more 100 people. Often, I mean, we still are doing that. Sorry to say this, but if you read that book, we are still replicating all those learnings, even from the year 1970s. Add one more, add 100 more people, or add 20 more people. Now, what did that cost the company? The project actually took 2.5 years, as I can show you. Because the 100 people who just joined the project has to learn the things, has to adapt the things. We just increase the communication cost. The Mythical Man Month. And it started with an essay called The Silver Bullet. You want to present that book to your manager? I can sense that. I know, I was like, come on, we should give this book to them. I know, I can sense that, kind of satisfaction, kind of a joy when you said that. Okay, so what are the reasons that we typically see is schedules are slipping? I mean, because why are the companies getting into losses? Because the schedule is slipped, the project is cancelled, the system goes sore. I mean, the moment we deploy into production or the moment we are demoing, I mean, I don't know how many times demos did went, but we are like prepared for everything. The moment we come to a demo, the system fails. Or something the customer will find out, or something the BA will find out, something the product owner will find out. System goes well, just on a lighter note, there is a high rate of defect rate. Okay, the business is misunderstood. So what the customer wants is what the customer is not needed. The business changes. You don't know. The business is changing so fast, at least with the technological domain. And finally, it is false feature is staff is turning over. The people are joining into the project. They are going out of the project. All these reasons are not only true only for software industry, and these are the exact reasons why the manufacturing industry is also not very good. These are the exact reasons why even the manufacturing industries also fail, or even they don't change. So the reasons are the same, be it a manufacturing product or be it a software. So we did something that is adaptive, like okay, it's high time that how do we adapt to these things, and it is high time that we need something that is people oriented, because at least in the knowledge domain industry, that is the software industry, the people are the asset, not the process. Okay, we don't want A, B, C, D, or we don't want a checklist. This is what we need to follow. We need something that makes people more happy. I know this sounds philosophical, but they are good. So these are a couple of values. Okay, it's not a checklist once again to say that these are a couple of values and principles of the leads. So how do we actually learn and adapt over just doing the analysis and prediction? Okay, let me just get some statistics. This is what we are now. This is where we are going to. Instead of that, how do we do a couple of those small experiments to try out our propositions? How do we empower the people to make them happier and make them achieve the outcomes? How do we make our focus on outcomes rather than outputs? We often ask, how many lines of code have you written? Rather than what value have you added at the end of the sprint? So how many tickets? Okay, how many tickets or how many, what is it? It's the terminology of the Jira. How many tickets or how many cards have you accomplished? Rather than what value have you added to the product? Is it true? I can see some smiling faces. So we need to change that. It's not the quantity, it's the quality. And how do we manage the flow? One of the important things when we say flow is how do we eliminate those waste? How do we make sure that we often see this, right? Like, okay, now that we don't have enough people in the project, but we have two projects. Okay, you are 50% here, you are 50% here. I don't know what is that. I can't split myself 50 here and 50 there. So it is 100% here and it is 100% there. So it is 200%. It's not 100%. So we ended up. So what is that you are wasting there? Context switching. You go to the project, you wear some context. You come on to the other project, you wear the another context. And trust me, how much time will you lose in that? And how many times are you multitasking effectively? One of the ways. So how do we eliminate that? And once again, the quality is a result, but not an activity. Of course, we have. I'm not condemning that the QA should not be there at all. They should be there, but it is not only the responsibility of the quality analyst to ensure the quality. It is the responsibility of a developer. It is the responsibility of the organization of all these things. Okay. Now, saying so, like I said, don't take a printout of this. Stick it onto your Kanban walls. This doesn't change anything because, like I said, it's not a process. Lean is not achieved just by following that recipe. It is not procedural. It is cultural. It demands a cultural change. So if you are willing to adapt it, you need to make sure that yes, I want to go away with my positional power and be a person with the people. So how do you make sure that you align the whole thing? So you need to change the principles in the way how you motivate the people. Now with that, one of the paradoxes that we often notice is, sorry, not to condemn it, but most of the cases, less of the cases. We do these all hands. We see people coming to the meeting and we say, oh yeah, you know what, we are doing this good. So I want all the people to be motivated because if you do this, we do that, we change. We ask the people to change without even making a change in the organization. What incentive does it offer to do? So that is a bigger paradox. Let's just see a small video before even to understand this paradox better. It is just on a lighter note because now that we had a very heavy discussion, let's just go to a break with a lighter note. Okay?
Great sparkling water, but we also help save the planet from plastic waste. With one reusable bottle, we can save a family up to 3,000 disposable bottles every year. Now that's a revolution. We're rainmakers. She's a rainmaker.
I'm an accountant.
He's a rainmaker.
I'm a lawyer. We've just been sued by court. Again.
We're growing so fast, we're looking for new talent. People who can move mountains. The first thing a soda streamer needs is a creative mind. You want to see creativity? Look at Milos. Milos figured out a creative way to carry all these soda stream machines.
Yes.
The second thing you need when you work at SodaStream is a sense of urgency. When you work here, you need to be able to move fast and always stay alert. The most important thing we're looking for is business courage. Here at SodaStream, we love taking risks. And yeah, sometimes we'll fail.
Do not fail.
We embrace failure.
Ah! Yes.
We're a family of 3,000 people from all religions and nationalities working side by side in peace and coexistence. So if you're creative, if you're fast, brave, and optimistic, you belong with us here at SodaStream, the #1 sparkling water brand in the world. So come join the revolution and let's make the world a better place. Milos, nice job today.
Daniel, I think I deserve a raise.
Mr. Mountain, he wants a raise.
Okay, you can hear me? Okay. That's just on a funny note. Let's take a small break. Come back. 15 minutes. Thank you.
We haven't answered cafeteria, that is also right.
So it is, actually represents safety just for sake of safety.
రాజు అది స్క్రీన్ చేంజ్ చేస్తుంటే రావట్లేదా వీడియో
వీడియో రావడం నువ్వు అది మాత్రం
Okay. When we just throw this statement, we are not saying it is black in a black and white sense. Okay, we are not saying only people oriented, no process oriented. So what happens? No leaves, nothing. You can take unlimited sick leaves, unlimited leaves. So we just don't end up in office. Okay, so it's not always black and white. We need some processes. All we are trying to say is your emphasis should be more on people, less on processes. It's not no processes. The same way, it is try to be adaptive. That doesn't mean that you don't make predictions at all. Without making a predictions, how will you adapt? It just don't. The ideas don't come from the air. So it's instead of being more predictive, try to also adapt those things. Just don't say that this will happen, but just try to adapt this. So don't take it in a black and white. Okay. So what does the video convey? Let's just not say the things for the sake of saying it. We accept failures? No. Yes. Yes in one place, no when execution comes. We accept change? Yes. No. So let's not just do that for the sake of doing that. So that's just a funny side of it. Now, let's now focus. See, lean is an ocean. Okay, if you really have to focus on this, you can actually end up doing a research also on this. So, lean is not just something that is new. It's been there since ages, 1930s. Okay, there is a recent adaptations that are increased. At least here, we are slowly going there. There is a long time to come. But it is high time for the new people who are starting their organizations to investigate more on these things. So this is like a beginning point. So there's I'm not covering every aspect, but I'll focus only on the fundamentally two aspects. One is the scientific thinking with deliberate practice and the teams. So because these are two essential things that we often neglect. So like I said, it's not no prediction at all. So let's just take a step back. Let's understand what does scientific thinking means. How do the scientists make these discoveries? They start with some proposal, they experiment, they fail, then once again, okay, let's just change some parameters. Once again, they experiment, then they fail. They change the parameters, they change the condition. Once again, they experiment, they fail. And finally, we get some beautiful discoveries. Right? The same is true for inventions. You go off for something, they couldn't find it, then they go off for something else, they could find it. Just like Christopher Columbus didn't started his journey just to find America. He started it to find something else, but finally ended up in America. Okay, so the scientific thinking encourages you to do that experimentation. Now, when you do that experimentation, you need to adapt it to something called as deliberate practice. This is a very crucial word, not only with respect to the lean, but even for us to improve ourselves. Now, let's just say that what is practice? You do the same thing more often. Now, what if you are so perfect at it? Let's just say that you are a wonderful cook and you can cook anything literally. That means that you don't experiment or you don't do anything? Or let's just say that you are a beautiful programmer. Okay, you can code anything practically using any language. Language is not a barrier at all. You can do it in anything. But let's just say that you can solve the problems. Does that mean that you should not learn anything in that? So let's say this deliberate practice can be explained with a popular quotation by Bruce Lee. Are there fans for him? Yeah. So he says that I'm not afraid of a person who knows 10,000 moves. I'm only afraid of a person who practiced one move 10,000 times. You know, the beauty of Bruce Lee, just to take a step back, to just try to make their regrets practice more. Bruce Lee was the only student in his class. I mean, you know his teacher. There are many movies about him. I will not repeat that. But Bruce Lee was the only student in his class who never crossed. He learned a martial art called Wing Chun. So in that Wing Chun, okay. So he learned a martial art called Wing Chun, and he never crossed level 1. He always was there only at level 1. There are students who did second level, third level, fourth level, and 10th level. But no one was able to beat Bruce Lee. Because he just didn't believe on adding the things, he just believed on practicing the things that he is good at. So if you are a good coder, how do you make sure that you are now, let's just say that you walk 10 miles in 10 seconds, 10 minutes. Now you walk the second 10 miles in 10 minutes, 10 miles in 10 minutes, 10 miles in 10 minutes. Will you just do that for a year? Or how do you increase that seconds? How do you increase that? How do you reduce that? How do you make yourself more perfect even though you know that you're already a perfect? That's what the deliberate practice is. How do you deliberately practice even though you know that you achieved a certain level of mastery? So that's just what is needed for the adaptation. So you make some small prediction. Let's just say a proposition that there is something happening outside. In the tech, there are some phase shifts that are happening. Let's just say that one of the fundamental phase shifts that is happening right now is the adoption of the AI and ML. Now you see all these products. So earlier it was like website first. Later it was like mobile first. Now it was like AI first. So how do you adapt to these phase shifts? We can't just demolish the product that we have built over years. But how do I take a delta of that product and try to apply this proposition, see it is suitable or not, see it is adaptable or not, see whether it is fitting rightly or not. And then you do that small action and then you collect the evidence. Just don't blindly follow that. Collect the evidence, use your own matrices or use your own heuristics to collect all this evidence, and then you say, okay, this is good, but maybe I need a small change. Or maybe I need to add something else. Or this is not good at all. Let me pick up something else. So we need to do these small experiments. We need to have these small teams who does these small experiments deliberately so that you are actually taking their much ahead than the other people. Now let's just say that instead of doing this small step-by-step approach, if you take a big bang, what is the risk that you possess? You ended up risking your own business, right? So that is what the adoption actually involves. So when you actually do this prediction, take some action, evidence, and evaluate. And that's the reason why you often see this triangle, say plan, act, plan, do, act, plan, some triangle which always says that. So that is exactly what it means, that scientific thinking with deliberate practice. Now, the second key important aspect of the lead is teams. Now, when I say team, let's just not be, are there managers in this forum? Of course there will be, including me. Let's just not eliminate the manager out of the team. They are part of the team. So we often wear this lenses and say, oh, manager outside, team, developers, only developers. You are creating those barriers, first of all. They wanted to be self-directed. Remember, even a manager is working under the direction of someone else, so they have their own constraints. It's just that we are not there to look into those constraints. So, when I say team, it's not excluding manager, it's everyone. Okay? So, the people always love to be self-directed. They wanted to be trusted and empowered. So, I know these are like huge philosophical words, but let's just take one by one, self-directed, or we can even combine the whole. I can narrate with this story. And there are experiments that are done on human motivation, and trust me, these are the experiments that the companies are investing, or the companies will invest billions, millions to just see how we motivate the people. And there is this beautiful book called Drive by Dan Pink. You can check it. You might have heard it. It's called Drive by Dan Pink. He clearly said that this is an inference from that. He clearly said that the autonomy, mastery, and purpose. If the teams know that they're autonomous to take the decisions, when I say teams, it's group, it's not an individual. If they are mastering themselves day by day, like okay, they're at the next place after working in that company in 1 year, they are now going at X plus 10 places or X plus 20%. So what is the improvement that they see in their own skills that will make them happy? What is the purpose that they are working for? We often see this, right? In organizations, people just sit in their own silos. Oops, sorry. We often see that people just sit in their own silos. They don't know what is happening outside. They just come, they just sit at their desk, and they don't know where we are heading as an organization. They don't know where we are heading as a project, because the project complexities are so high that there are 5,000 people in a project. It's not bad. I mean, it's the scale of the organization. But at least does the team know their small purpose that they are achieving for? Or that one individual inside your team, does he know that why is he working the way he is working and what is that he is working on? So if they know that purpose, that is when it brings out motivation. And it is also those scientific experiments or the psychological studies which said that no matter how many incentives, no matter how much money you give it to a person, money motivates only to one extent. Imagine I will give you like hell lot of money. Let's just say that your name will not be there. Let's just say that you will not be encouraged. Let's just say that I'll scold you regularly. Let's just say that I don't accept your work. Let's just say that I always shit about you. Will you be comfortable working there? Of course, temporarily, but not permanent, right? That's the reason why people change. People change their organizations because there is a popular quotation, right? The people just don't quit the organizations, they quit the people. I hate to say managers because they're essentially the people. So, I mean to say the interactions are actually making it so conducive. So, now, how do you communicate that vision, purpose, and progress? And that is the reason why, if you actually look at ThoughtWorks, if you actually look at here, can you see all these beautiful walls with all these, stickies? Do you know these Kanban walls? The initial diagram I was showing. This is the reason why we have those. Kanban is also a methodology, no doubt, but we also have these walls to just ensure that, oh, okay, I am coming today. Okay, inside the office, okay, this is what I'm working on, and the moment I deliver this is the feature I'm delivering. So that's the reason you all have these visual walls here. We used to have our own wall there. So, and finally the mission command. Okay, this is what is going to relate to this. Okay. Do you know how the army works? I know they are very strict. They are very disciplined, they are very stringent, but we need people with something called as a mission command. You know how armies work, or have you at least noticed the relief activities that the National Disaster Recovery Force or the army has done in the Kerala? Have you recently noticed that? There are like 100 teams spread into 100 different villages, okay? And they have something, okay, this is the main important thing. They have a centralized intention. All the 100 teams have only one intention: to get the people out of the misery, to save as many people as you can from those devastated areas. Now, dispersed execution. All these 100 teams, there is no communication. They don't always report to the commander and say, hey commander, I just landed. Hey commander, I'm walking. Hey commander, I'm distributing a packet. Hey commander, I'm lifting a hand. They don't do that. They take their own action because the commanders believe in their teams that yes, they are empowered to take their decisions. They are on the field. They are seeing what it is. And you know what is the trust? He knows the intention. I know the intention. The team knows the intention. I know the intention. And they are very clear about that intention. The moment it is clear, they don't worry about the execution. How is it executed? As long as the goal is satisfied. And finally, through a disciplined initiative. Trust me, when teams are actually empowered in all these directions, you don't need to tell the team that you need to work for long hours. You don't need to tell the team that you need to deliver X feature by X amount of time. It happens so naturally that the teams take themselves the responsibility. The moment you start trusting and the moment you provide that autonomy, they themselves realize, okay, this is my product, this is my project, this is my organization, and this is what I'm working for. Imagine such a beautiful feeling. Just to demonstrate that, and once again, the moment we say we form a team, we have this popular saying, right? Like Rome is not built in a day. Okay, let's just say that we started a new organization. Let's just say that we started a new project or any other setup. We brought all the people together and say, "Come on, teamwork." Session day 1, teamwork. Session day 2, ethics, values. Session day 3, something. So we have these elaborated sessions, bringing out the motivational speakers. Now, week 2, productivity starts. It just don't happen. If Rome is not built in a day, the Rome essentially has to be built by a team. And the teams are also not built in a day. It takes time to build the teams. It takes time to adapt, to build the trust. It takes time. So just to demonstrate that there's a small simulation which this is very small simulation which explains everything that we have discussed so far. You know, it starts with, let's just say, the manager taking the initiative, or someone, the lead, or let's say a developer taking the initiative of pushing the cork up. Then slowly people started realizing the purpose because he's frustrated, he's not disturbed. Slowly it starts moving up, and slowly there are still people who are not comfortable because they don't know what's happening. It's a new environment, I mean, it's the people, it's an interactions. And then slowly people started adding up, and slowly the cork moves up, and slowly cork moves up. And slowly there are still some people who are like not very sure about it, and slowly people started adding up, and slowly people started adding up. And what happens? They start working together, and they unite, work as one unit. You see the number of colors that it started with? What happens? This simulation demonstrates that teams are not just built in a day. You need to take the time, healthy amount of time, you need that investment. You also need to ensure that they get all what they need. Only then you can expect what you want. Yeah. Okay. Let's just skip this video. This is once again a relaxation video. So let's, in the interest of the time, let's just directly jump on to one thing called as Agile. Now that we have a real problem, now that we know what is that we have to build, okay, it's something that is rightly that I'm building. Okay, now you should make sure that you're actually building it right. You identified a problem, you found a solution, and you are very sure that that's the correct solution. Now that you need to deliver the solution in a rightful manner. And that's what the focus of the Agile is. Agile and Lean happen to, marry each other on many things. It's just their emphasis. We'll discuss that later. Now, what is this Agile thinking? Of course, this is one of the popular words to say that everywhere we hear, oh, now the company is adapting Agile. We are Agile. So, it's a way of building a software, assuming a planning for change. Because this is not how the things are happening earlier. You remember those tree diagrams, you remember those statistics? Those can be applied even here. So how do you assume or how do you plan for a change and then plan your things? So how do you say that, okay, change is going to happen? How do you make sure that you can actually adopt the change? That doesn't mean that you're accepting change at every level. Once again. Okay? So we'll see that. So initially, if you actually look back, so you have this a bigger waterfall. I believe at least people are still not using it, maybe in bits and pieces. It's also to make sure that this is bad, that's why Agile is good. No, that's not the intention. Maybe it will work, provided you have your own reasons. But let's say that you started using waterfall, the only problem is after a period of time you are getting the working software. You are not getting a software from the day. So what happens after you are getting a software after a elongated period of time? Like I said, those reasons, you remember those reasons? There are high defects, or the business has actually changed. No longer the requirements are valid. And that's the reason why the Agile works in a phase-wise manner. You make small releases, collect the feedback, make those changes in those releases. Doesn't mean that you adopt the change at every iteration. You adapt the change at every release. Okay, now is this, now is this, now is this. The fundamental assumptions of the waterfall, I mean, it has some fundamental assumptions, like the ones that are shown here. Like it says that it is possible to identify a complete set of requirements from day one. If this is true, yes, you can definitely follow it. But if it is not true, you should not. The waterfall also says that the requirements once identified will not change. That is the premise on which it is built on. It is possible to produce high degree of estimates. I mean, I don't know how true it is. Like, I don't know how you can estimate without even knowing it. It might be true in some cases. Detailed schedule will prevent a project to delay its delivery. And complete documentation will guarantee high quality software. It's just way back in the year 10 years, I ended up reading all the KPI documents and I don't know how the software is working unless I play with software. So a working software is more powerful, and how often you give that working software to the client will actually change a lot of things rather than at the end, rather than at an end of an year, rather than at the end of 2 years, 3 years. So a couple of individuals who got frustrated with all these things, by the way, 3 people belong to ThoughtWorks. So, and they start creating this manifesto. So they said that the individuals and interactions are more important than the processes and tools. So let's just say that, are you hearing the individual, or I'll give you a classic example because this is now on a delivery level, right? This is not on our level. Let's just say that you identified a bug, okay, and you are so enthusiastic that you said that, you know what, I found this bug. Now what should we do about it? Instead of fixing about it, this is the immediate requirement. We say raise a Jira, write a Confluence about it, elaborate the details, put the screenshot. They're all good, but that's a critical bug which needs immediate attention. You might need to relax on a couple of those processes when there is a criticality. So, are we paying attention to those individuals? Are we just focusing only on those processes? Working software or comprehensive documentation. So, instead of saying that, okay, your documentation will actually explain about your software, instead of giving a documentation to demonstrate your software, isn't it good to say, oh, this is a software, release 1, with only 10%, 20%, 30% of your features, play with it. Or the client might say that, oh, this is nice, I might not even need the rest. The customer collaboration or contract negotiation. The customer suddenly comes and say, hey, you know what, the essential fundamental business that I have changed has drastically changed because of the market demand. So we need to include this. So suddenly we say, no, we can't change the contract. You already signed this. We are not going back. So who is losing here? Not only customer. You end up building something which no one is actually using it. So instead of that, how do we actually collaborate with customer? How do we respond to change? Instead of saying that, oh, we have a designated plan, let's just follow it, no deviations. This month, QA this month, production this month, blah, 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 deployment, blah, 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 blah. No. How do we make sure that there are continuous? So we'll actually see those practices. So why is it more relevant now? Why you should focus your delivery more like this? Like, why is it so relevant that the agile is an essential thing, no longer an optional thing? Is because the way how the shift is happening with respect to the businesses. So initially, the technologists in the business, they are two separate domains. You know, like a company used to have a bunch of technologists, a company used to have a bunch of business people. They all say, okay, you know what, we have this requirement, do this. Okay, good, we'll do this. Then slowly started thinking that, okay, I think then we should invite these people into the discussions and let them hear what are we actually trying to do. Then suddenly the technology and the business boundaries are actually getting less and less because of the technological phase shifts that we are heading to. And right now, the technology has become a core of the businesses. If you actually look at the firms that are actually super rich now, have you heard about this quotation that the data is new oil? That fundamentally all the technological companies are dominating the profits, or actually, I mean, Amazon is never in profits, at least for the last 4 years back, at least, if I'm not wrong, or 5 years back. But now, all of a sudden, it's in top 5. So your key focus has been the technology. You know how the technology is driving the business. So how do we adapt it? And there are a couple of practices the agile has to offer. So you have these regular standards. There are of course many flavors of agile. There are also some of the technological practices like TDD, which ensures that, okay, the moment you write a code, is the code giving you the feedback on your immediate execution that whether your code is right or wrong. How do you adapt continuous integration and deployment? So let's just say that when the customer comes and asks you, can I see my software? Oh yeah, let's give me 1 hour, we'll deploy it in production and give it to you. No. Those days are gone. They want something very quick. So how do you build these continuous integration practices? How do you make sure that okay, there are 10 people who are coding independently. Now, even though they commit, they don't conflict each other because all we do is commit only before the sprint review or before the sprint, what do we say, the finalization, right? Oh, so we call everyone, okay, you commit, you commit, you commit, you commit. Fail. The moment you wrote a code, the moment you say push, it goes and builds the software. It's an integration. Now, the moment it is integrated, it should also be automatically deployed into various environments that you're so sure about its actual delivery. Because the customer is actually using it, he has to use it in some environments, right? So the moment you build it, you're deploying it in an automated fashion in multiple environments, and you're executing these automation tests at every place. So what happens? You integrate it, there is some conflicts, you are getting a failure, a warning. Now you are deploying it into multiple stages of environment, it failed executing some automated tests, there is some problem. So you're getting that instant feedback. So that's the reason why all these practices, you say the planning meeting, you say Kanban, you say stand-ups, automated testing, retrospectives. Forget about code for the timing, forget about the delivery for the timing. How are we doing as a team? Is there anything that we should improve? Is there anything that we should stop doing it? Is there anything that we should continue doing it? It's a feedback. So everywhere you have all this plethora of practices, you can go on adding all these practices, but the essential and the fundamental key important thing is regular and constant feedback. We have all these practices just for this one reason. And why do we need a feedback? Imagine I'm delivering this session and everyone is like, just no blink of an eye, nothing, no nodding, nothing, no smile. It's like, so what will I do after 15 minutes? I'll just say, sorry, you know what, I'm not feeling well, let me just go outside. What if your child is coming so enthusiastically and saying, hey, you know what, today I did this. You say like, okay, what does the child do? You need feedback. That's how we are designed. You need this constant feedback. Let's just say that the doctor is poking you with a needle. Do you have pain? You throw all these funny expressions, you will like, okay, maybe his tests are wrong. So we need to shift him to the neurological unit. We need feedback. At the same time, the one which we are building demands the feedback, the team demands the feedback, the software demands the feedback to improve upon yourself. Now, if you actually see these feedback loops, you write a code, you do this pair programming. You know, there is this two people trying to write a code. Isn't it funny? How come two people are writing one code? So it's like this. So we often say that, okay, we have 10 developers, so we create 5 pairs. Well, 5 pairs will actually produce the code. So everyone says that, oh, we are actually reducing the productivity. No. We proceed slow to accelerate fast. We start very slow in Agile, that's how it is. We start very slow. Initial 1-2 iterations, 3-4 iterations is slow. We proceed very, very slowly, step by step, step by step. But suddenly you see that acceleration of a couple of sprints. That's the acceleration that you have never imagined. Because the pair programming, it is pair of eyes. It's not just your thought process. Imagine you are pairing with someone, and you often see that, right? Like you didn't identify a bug, but someone has actually identified the bug. Or you didn't thought about a logic, but the moment you combine with the team, you are thinking about something else. It's the same way. How many different ways of a book can we use it in? Programming is a creative practice. It's an art. It's not a science. And it needs multiple hands. And that's why pair programming, which provides feedbacks in seconds. You need to write those unit tests much before the code. This is what called TDD. People claim to say that they are following the test-driven development by just writing the code after, or they just write the code and then write the test. It's actually the reverse. You write the test, you write the code to make sure that your test passes. So you're getting feedback in minutes. Pair negotiation in hours. So you have a conflict of execution strategy. So you say that, okay, let's just discuss about it. How do you approach? How do you not approach? Stand-up meeting. In a day you are getting a feedback. Acceptance test. In a days you are getting a feedback from the client. Iteration plan in weeks. release plan in months, retrospectives for sprints. So everywhere the fundamental essence of all these practices, no matter how many you adapt, how many things that you do regularly, the one important thing is, are you ready to give the feedback? Are you ready to accept the feedback? Are you ready to at least listen to the feedback? Now, when we say about delivery, like I said, so the requirement here is you need to move from location A to location B. So the client has approached you saying that I have a requirement, I need a vehicle to navigate from location A to location B. So we say that, yeah, we are agile. So let's say, let me give you a tire in iteration 1 or release 1. Let me give 2 tires in release 2. Let me give you a body of release 3. Let me give you the whole car in release 4. This is not agile. What is the requirement? Navigation from A to B. You need to give the solutions which adds value. So say, okay, let me just start with a skateboard, then a scooter, then a cycle, then a motorbike, then a car. Now, what is the advantage of this? Suddenly the client feels that he might not need this. Oh, I can happily live with what you have delivered at 4. What does it save? Save his cost, it saved your efforts, it's a win-win for everyone. And we have gained his trust, and we have gained the team's trust. We are not just wasting. So when we say agile delivery, it's not bits and pieces like this, it's actually like this. You deliver value with every release. Now, you heard about this word called minimum viable product? Yes. So if you actually take a list of the features, you have delightful features, you have usable features, you have valuable, and you have feasible features. Let's just not take the lower bottom of it. It's all of everything. It's a slice. Imagine it's a bread, it's a cake, beautiful red velvet cake. It's a slice of the cake. You will not get the taste of a cake just by taking the pastry out of it or just by taking the burn of the bottom base. Okay, you need to taste the whole slice. That's the way with the MVP. You need to select everything to make it more delightful. Now you have many practices when we say, like I said, you have Scrum, you have XP, you have DSD, you have many of plethora of things. Once again, I am trying to reiterate the same point. Following Scrum doesn't make you agile. Scrum is just a way. So we can't just determine that, yeah, we are doing Scrum, that's why we are agile. No. You are agile and you adapted Scrum. And this is good in one way. This is a beautiful report. You can actually go and download this report. 56% of the companies are actually adapting Scrum. That's a good thing. But are they adapting the Scrum for the sake of adapting Agile? No, that's bad. There are multiple ways where you can actually expand. There are other practices and there are other flavors that offer multiple things as and when your team may choose. And you need to experiment all this stuff. Now, like I said, there are commonalities between Lean and Agile. It's only that where they operate. The only difference is Agile focuses more on a delivery, Lean focuses more on organization level. The commonalities are very simple. Both embrace and adapt change, and both produce value iteratively. How do we do these small experiments to test our propositions, and how do we deliver these things? Both are humanistic in nature. We value people. Both focus on quality. Both focus on eliminating the waste. And finally, both focus on emphasizing people to learn, reflect, to gather the feedbacks, and learn more. Okay, so these are the fundamental things. So I'll quickly jump into this. We have this. These are the essential things. Okay. And I have the people still here who is behind this season, including me. In this also, while you're having some snacks, have you seen a wall over there? There's a story behind it. So we have planned, there's an events team in the office and we're trying to make sure that more people participate in the event. This is the problem statement. And when we started looking for solution, what is the immediate solution? Mobile app, notifications, a website, a digital board, a digital display. You know what actually solved the whole thing? Is a simple blackboard and a chalk and a light on top of it. So you don't need to think only in the direction that you are supposed not to think. So this is, I'm just skipping out in the interest of the time. And the second important thing is making use. The very reason what I was at the ThoughtWorks, we made this platform, we built this platform, and I have the theme in this audience, and there are a lot of learnings. I mean, whatever I told today is just not a bookish knowledge. It's just from our failures. We are conveying it. And the example is the make use. So I'll quickly glaze over it. We are running short of time. So initially, the make use, it's a platform. Okay, background on it. Make use is a platform which helps the journalists or the news organizations to produce the news or to generate the news at a much accelerated pace. Imagine if they are using this tool, we expect that he's going to let's say a journalist is actually producing 2 stories in a day, or let's say 1 story in a day. If they adapt this platform, the proposition is that he's going to produce at least 2, 3, or 4. We're trying to make their lives easier. But what happened when we started like, okay, let's just build this platform, make news, and we're trying to collect these requirements. And you know what? Since our team came from a little journalistic backgrounds, because of our earlier experiences, we went with a lot of assumptions. Okay, what do they need? How do they start collecting these news? How do they actually fill these blanks? So we said like, okay, they need news from multiple sources. Okay, let's just say that they want to think about a topic, they start about the topic and start looking for references, or they have references and then they think about a topic. So they need something at a collection place that they can actually look at it and do these things. So we started saying, okay, let's just say that we collect all the websites, we collect all the Facebook feeds, we collect all the Twitter feeds, and let's just show it one place. The fundamental mistake that we did over here is, we said like RSS feeds. And we were so sure about its delivery. And you know what? Just before the launch, we said like, just before the launch, it demands some change. You know what? I think we should change the colors. That's the design we have done. So that when we often talk about design, it's only the aesthetics that we focus, right? I'm saying we didn't actually do the design thinking. We are only focusing on the so-called or the mentioned design thinking outside. It's just the aesthetics. So we said like, okay, let's just change the color. It's looking good. It's looking great. And we actually delivered this problem. You know what? The fundamental thing, what happened when we deployed this at multiple client locations, including clients or multiple various people. What is RSS feed? Rashtriya Swayamsevak sir? No. They have a feed? Okay. No. RSS feed is like really simple style. Real simple style. What is that you are talking about? What is it? Where do we find in a website? How do we configure those stuff? They are clueless about those stuff. Then we thought, okay, we made a big mistake. How do we come out of this mistake? And then that is the reason when we started changing the focus. And that is when the team stayed together, because we trust each other. We just didn't back out of a failure. It's a failure, I'm calling it. It's a failure, but we didn't just back it out. We want ways to come out of it. We want to deliver a product a much better way. And you know what? It ended up like this, not just with a simple effort. We did actually went and talked to the people. We just spent days and days inside those organizations, observing how do they actually work, how do they actually communicate, how do they actually make those news. We have seen the movement of the news from desk to desk to desk, or from location to location to location. So we have observed these things. We made a couple of prototypes. We didn't even build the product. We made some clickable prototypes. We just then went to a couple of people and said, okay, use this. Trying to observe, okay, how are they actually using this? Are there any changes? Do they actually need something else? What is the real problem that they're looking at? We don't want something from their own collections of the internet. They also want something from their own systems that they have stored since a long time. And then slowly we then adopted different strategies, and this is what we finally have. A platform which is going to change the way the journalists work. Now they no longer need to give just the RSS feed. We develop a crawler. All they need to do is just give the website. It crawls the content. And they can actually go to Facebook. They can add their own feeds. They can search for Facebook feeds from here. They can go to Twitter. They can actually literally search the Twitter from here. They can add their feeds. And finally, when they are done, they no longer need to navigate to another platform to read the news, because the news is already there. We're actually getting every news here. Now, From the news, they can actually make their own bookmarks. They can make their own, let's just say, their own collections. So they can actually organize the information. Because earlier, we don't have this provision. For viewing the news, they actually need to visit another tab. So they're actually moving out of our platform. And they actually started using this, so they can organize the information and they can create their own collections of the information. So let's just say that they want to organize the information that they have read, just the same way that you're seeing here, and they can organize these things. And let's say they just kept it there, and now you can see all their collections, they can see all their bookmarks, and it's not just that. They can actually create their own stories. And while creating their own stories, they can actually refer to what they have already bookmarked or what they have already collected. And this is not a simple copy and paste. It's also something much delightful for them, so that the references will still stay good. And now once they save the stories, they can pump it to any platforms that they're interested in, and they can collaborate much better. So that's just very quick demo because of the time. That's a classical story of a failure to a success. Yes, you can visit Make News Talking. The source code is for free. We welcome the contributors. So looking together now, we have a good problem. We build the things right. We identified the right thing to build. We also build the right things right. Okay. So when people ask, should we do lean or agile or design thinking? The answer is and, but not or. You should do design thinking, you should do lean thinking, and you should do agile thinking. So it's just not one or the other. Okay? What suits your needs, you need to pick up what is best for you, and then adapt it. With this, thank you. Thanks everyone for taking me. And a good thanks to, credits to all the people